Things. Hi. Hi. Yo, dudes. What kind of thing is this? Hi. Putting the camera on this kind of thing. Hi. Rolling on this. It's okay. Praise Jesus. That's to keep warm in the wintertime. I may go on a plane. I may go on a plane. I don't know. I may not know any idea what I'm talking about. You get the Cyclops handed to you. I may fly in a plane tomorrow. I may fly in a plane tomorrow. Hey. Or I don't know. Whoa. Coffee. I don't want to breathe your cough. You may be sick. Hi. Yo. What is this? What is this? Hi. Football dad. Football dad. I may be slow, I may be fast, I do everything for God. I was fast at things. I had a high IQ, and one time my IQ got up to 200. My IQ got up to 200 at one time. God made my IQ 200. And there are aliens. I thought they were aliens, but they were only human beings. They had weak bodies that got old like all of us. They're the same as all of us, but they did something. They're able to make their brains super genius, and they had maybe a three, maybe like a maybe a 20,000 IQ or something like that, like really fast. And I was afraid of them, and it was a human being, but I think it was really an angel, and then they pretended that it was a human being because angels are aliens. So it was an alien in a craft outside my house, and I couldn't see it because it was covered by clouds. And the only time it was there is when there were clouds, and I think it had the ability to control clouds. It had a cloud cover. I think that's what it was called, is cloud cover. And they're man-made. They were made by God too, because God creates all things and man makes all things, and God and man created things, and there's sin in it because man created it. But if it's from the heavens, I guess it may be godly if it's created by angels because they're without sin in the heavens. So, so they had like a 20,000 IQ, and I'd look out the window and I could hear their craft hovering. And I think it was the same one, but it might have been an angel. And I could never see the craft, but anytime it appeared, and I heard it, I'd walk outside to see where it was, and I was so frightened by it. That's what I called it, frightened. And and I could hear it hovering in the air like a giant futuristic SUV that was made in America, like some kind of craft. Because if you look back at aircraft technology in the United States, military aircraft technology, because that was California's number one industry, and the first place that it started following me a little bit here and there, frightened the crap out of me. I thought it was an alien because I called out to aliens with all I had, and that's where I got was some kind of spacecraft that hid itself in the clouds right outside wherever I was staying, and I could hear it. And I would look out the window at a bush, and it would flash images like 20 of them a second that looked. Some of them look like genius works of art. And before that, I could visualize paintings that were genius and hadn't been painted yet on Earth. Some of the most brilliant artwork that has ever or will ever exist on Earth that people have not painted yet. And I'd get one flash image of it in my thoughts, and I could see it vividly, all the colors of the whole thing. But back then, I wasn't working at art. I was a filmmaker, and that's art. That's art too. I'm talking to myself right now. I'm talking to myself right now, and and editing is art. Filmmaking is art. See this image? It's a work of art, like God talks about in the Bible. A work of art within this frame is a work of art that a filmmaker creates. And God says, God commissioned an artist in the Bible to do designs for a house that was built in the Bible. It was godly and good. So art is okay in the Bible. So that's what my work is art. And that was barely hanging on by a thread. If you didn't already know that filmmaking is art, how could you not know that it's art? Film, music, acting, filmmaking, sound design, so many things within filmmaking. You know, God gave me abilities at those things. So God gave me abilities at art. And in 2004, when I started film school, I could see, or 2003, and then Danica got back with me in 2004, and she was with me the whole time, but she went to Texas to raise her two younger sisters, and I'm not supposed to talk about them, but she didn't really raise them, so it went wrong, and their mother raised them. So Danica never really raised them, I think. Yeah, and so Danica moved in with me in 2004 again, and I was going to a film school, and then somehow we reached out to aliens, or I reached out to aliens, and I didn't know if there was anything wrong about it because I didn't know who aliens were, but I got an angel or something like that in some kind of like a spacecraft who was hovering outside of my house, and it had cloud cover. It would cover itself in the clouds. And I think somebody tricked me from maybe back in Texas or somewhere in Virginia or somewhere where they thought, oh, he thinks he's doing filmmaking, but their number one industry in California was military planes and military aircrafts. That was California's number one industry, and I thought, hey, I'm just going there to do movies, you know. I like doing art and film and music and stuff like that, so I thought I'll make movies. And then Danica was from Houston, Texas, where they have the Astros. in the NASA. They have NASA, obviously, Houston, and the reason for NASA is to reach out to aliens for better technology and better health advances and stuff to try to live longer and be healthier and younger. But that was my plan because Adam lived to be 930 years old, and they used to live forever. Adam, didn't know, but they existed. Humans, we existed in heaven before we were born onto this earth. So there's something godly about that. I didn't know what I was saying, but it's godly and good. And when Adam got introduced to sin, he only lived to be 930. And then with all kinds of weird ass ways trying to live longer and stuff like I tried to do, they messed up and they did sin. And now we only live to like 100 or something, 120 or 130 or 140, the longest maybe. And so we're just regular human beings on earth. But I thought when I went out to California, I thought I'd live a super long, I thought I'd live a really long time and look younger and better looking and stuff. And these huge ambitions to just do the best stuff that had ever been done. And Danica was the same way. We had huge ambitions. I thought I'd be the most brilliant artist ever, not only on Earth, but also in the universe and the heavens and everywhere. But I didn't understand. I didn't see that God is the most genius artist ever, and He created us. And I think I saw that, I understood that, but in a way I didn't understand some of the things I was trying to be really, really big at, but bigger than anyone. I had this ego that thought, of course, I was better than everyone at it. And so I thought I'd be the best artist on earth who was like a human being. And then I tried to reach out to alien technology so I could look better looking and younger and more good looking to be like a really famous actor and stuff. And to live to be 155 or back then I called it 100 and something, but it was like 155, and I couldn't see much past that. I thought like I'd be the oldest living human being to have ever lived. But that was my big ambition. It wasn't very big if it was only 155 years old back then. And I was godly and good, so I wasn't that bad because I believed in God. But then when the aliens, here's how I communicated with them. They used a bush that the wind, the air from their craft created a wind. Almost every time every time they were there, it would blow the trees and stuff. It would blow the wind in the trees. And it was really frightening because they had a super high IQ of like 20,000. And I was so afraid that here's how they communicated. Their means of communication were well beyond a mere language like English or any of the other languages on earth. Spanish, French, Italian, German, Russian, whatever the languages are they speak in Africa, there's different countries. And Swahili or something, Jamaican, all those different languages. It's a mere language. It's like a small one-dimensional thing compared to how advanced their means of communication was when I reached out to aliens. And this is what they did. This is why they're so terrifying. And they had like a 20,000 IQ. And I thought they were highly advanced creatures I was reaching out to look really good looking, to be like a lead actor, super famous person, and do the best things. I thought I was going to do the best things possible and be the most genius artist on earth. And I thought I'd live to be 155. However, it was angels, I think, who were seeing how mean I'd be, and seeing how crazy I'd be, thinking, I didn't know what, and I was so horrified and terrified. I wasn't horrified of them yet. I was terrified of them. I'd call it terrified, but I would never used to see horrors of hell, and I don't visually hallucinate now. But back then, here's what I did. They showed me a bush, and they were, it was me and Danica, and we lived in an apartment, I think we were married. I think we had gotten married. Yeah, we tried to make a baby. And we were married, even if we didn't know it. And I was a film student, and the bush, here's how they'd communicate. Well, it was out of a window of a glass doors, and I could kind of see outside, and I'd sleep in the bed with Danica, and Danica was asleep, and I'd be like terrified, and it was way higher IQ than her, and she only had 142 IQ, and I had 132 IQ. So I was like not a genius, but I was above average more than most anybody, and she had a little higher IQ of 142. And the aliens had a kind of alien enhanced or godly enhanced human beings had like a 20,000 IQ, and they flew military aircrafts that the public didn't know about. And this is the kind of technology that they had. They had cloud cover, and they also created a wind blowing down from them by being like like an alien spacecraft or something. But I don't know if they went into the heavens or not. But I think they moved really fast on the Earth and hid in the clouds so people couldn't really see them. And they might have gone the speed of faster than the speed of sound, or maybe were a little slower in some kind of other aircraft. And they could have gone the light speed, I don't know, but I think they're limited to only flying on the Earth. And there's something about them that had a really high IQ, unless they did. I think they did one of those things that Al talks about, like genetic enhancement, and they got a really high IQ. But their bodies were weak as crap, and they would just get old. Because I got a flash image of who they were when they were communicating with me through a bush. So here's how they communicated to me with the bush. They didn't. They didn't. So I'm not going to talk about it. And they didn't brainwash me or anything like that. They didn't microchip me. What they did was, well, never mind, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm a crazy redneck who lives out in the woods, man. That's what they'd like you to believe. And so, but I can look really young again and stuff like that. So, you don't have to get really old just because they got really old. But I think the one that was the same one that followed me. I think when I got to see what he looked like, he was like in his 80s and about dead or something like that. And so I'm not going to tell you how they communicated with me, but if you reach out to aliens, they might try to communicate with you. And they're angels. They're angels. So they're angels on Earth. Yeah, they are. I've seen their crafts back there in the woods, and they can't hurt you. They hover. I haven't seen them in the woods. There are all kinds of different supernatural things that may exist, but there's an explanation for them in the Holy Bible. In the Holy Bible, you can read all about them in the Holy Bible. This is the real guidebook we have. Somebody tried to give me an old eye. I fell for it. And this is the guidebook we have to know the truth about God and Jesus. Know the truth about God and Jesus. This is a guidebook for how to learn about God and Jesus and how God raised us as children. And I probably looked at this a couple of days ago. And I read scripture today and yesterday. And aliens are talked about in the Bible in Ezekiel. and they're angels, and they're without sin, and they're from the heavens, and they can't hurt humans because they're without sin. So they wouldn't hurt humans. They won't hurt humans. So there's no way they'd hurt a human. Whoa, that looked pretty strong, kind of. So there's no way they'd hurt a human. And and so there's no way they'd hurt a human because they're without sin, and there's no killing in heaven, and the only one who's a person in heaven or the heavens who would kill, who usually never does because he is love, is God, and he wouldn't kill anyone. He doesn't kill anyone. The devil, he allows the devil to kill people if they had sinned in a way that the devil had caused them to sin, and they became so corrupted that the devil had to kill them to get rid of that sin in their body. And that's why people like get sick or get old and die and stuff like that from the sin from the devil. And I don't know, but God knows. And I probably know a bunch more about God and Jesus than I don't know who, because sometimes God may give other people a knowledge of God more than people have studied a bunch about it. And I've studied a bunch about God and Jesus for 6 years. I've used this book, and I have studied it. What happened to it? And I've studied about God by looking up on Google. This is a way you can look up anything you think of and find pretty much an answer to it from God. Look up what you're interested in looking about and type in God and Jesus and find the scripture in the Bible, the actual word. Whoa, there's something good about scripture being that holy. And I don't know, because the Bible does have to burn in the lake of fire one day, but sometimes it's really that godly. Like Christ, the Word was good, but that's not literally what this is. This will have to burn in the lake of fire. And if you notice that in the Bible, every little letter is an image. Every little letter, and every one of those letters is an image. So, if you think that an image is bad, then why does every letter in the Bible is an image? Is an image. So, if it's an image of worship, that's bad. If it's an image of worship, that I think you're more guilty of that. And I gave her the benefit of the doubt in Texas, that she said, "Scripture, how godly." That's almost like worshiping. That was a mistake and made it like I was bad, but that's like worshiping a thing, the words in the Bible instead of God, and that's sinful. That's sinful and wrong. And there may be something godly about it, but there's almost like an it in the godliness, and it can't make it to heaven. And I think that may be a different thing, but I don't know. But they'd have me like die and be incinerated like a black person or something. They'd blame on as if they're like, I don't know. But we can't judge one person's sin against another unless we're so godly that God shows us that the other person was wrong about some things and one person knew a little more. But I can't judge who's better. And I was thinking about some people in Texas, but they probably know a bunch about God and Jesus. But once I had a 200 IQ from what the aliens put me through or whatever, it wasn't that high of IQ. I had to humble myself and be like a lower IQ person. And sometimes my IQ went down to like, I don't know, but lower than 132. And there was some sin in the 200 IQ that I got up to that one time. It was more like the Old Testament kind of uh, almost like uh, not bad, but like punishing up, like meanness against others to do what God had me do on earth. It's not good. It's not good. Jesus is the way. Jesus is the way. Kindness to others. Kindness to others. Jesus is the way. Kindness to others, and loving God more than anyone. Loving God more than anyone, but God knows more than that. And you're not supposed to hurt anybody on earth. You have to forgive them. You're supposed to forgive others. I'm not trying to be, like mean about it. I don't know what your place is supposed to be like. I don't know what my place is, and I don't know my place, and so I don't know, but God knows, and uh, here's how they communicated to me with something outside that was a bush, that was a real bush, a green bush with leaves on it that was outside, and the spacecraft or human created aircraft with a like 20,000 IQ person who communicated with me without having to use the English language. It had cloud cover. It used the bush as this. The bush would blow in the wind from the bush would blow in the wind. It had green leaves on it, and it would look like many different images as the leaves were blown by the wind from the aircraft. So it must have been angelic, because humans know not where the wind is from or where it goes. It's not know not, but in the Bible it says we don't know where the wind is from and we don't know where it goes. That's how humans are supposed to be. So it must have been an angel, because it had control of where the wind was going, and it used the bush from the wind of the spacecraft. It was an angel's spacecraft. It changed the shape. See if I can actually show you. Here. Okay. See if I can ask an alien from the heavens, an angel from the heavens. I don't see any clouds. This shape would look like many different images. Here's one. There's an eye, there's an eye, there's a nose, there's its mouth that's black, and its chin, and some red thing, blood coming out of its head and dripping down. That's like something in a hat on it. Looks like out of hell, and it's crying. There'd be an image of that, and there would be 20 of them a second. There would be 20 of them a second. And the images meant different things. Like that one would be used for the alien to communicate to me, and then it would ask back what I thought of it, and I'd think with all my heart to the aliens, because I reach out to them with all my soul and thoughts. And in the Bible, it's not the physical body that's a heart. That'll wither and die, for most, unless we make it to Judgment Day. If some kids are young enough, they'll probably get old, and our bodies are probably going to go. But in the Bible, it's called, the soul, or the thoughts and intent, or with all one's heart. But it's not a physical heart. That's probably going to get old, and so it would communicate just one of those images back to me, and then it would communicate one of those images to me first. The alien, it didn't look like shit. It wasn't like an evil alien, and it would show a flash image of this, and it was an angel. Show a flash image of something like, pretend this was a bush, and this is just paint on a shirt. This is paint on a shirt, and here's what it would make it look like. What do you think that looks like? I'll try to use it to communicate with me. Tell me, what do you think it is? You think this is a palm, and that's the other side of the palm. There's a thumb. This is this is part of the hand, and here's like a gorilla, 1, 2, 3. You think that it's an alien that looks like a gorilla. And that was communicated to me from whoever's out there. And this is what I think of it. I think that you think that I'm the one who's holding up my hand guilty like this, like that's who you think that I am, like I'm made of that kind of genetic background. You think that I'm made from an alien and a gorilla, but more like a gorilla, and like you think that you know who I really am or something, because you assume who I who I am as a human being or something like that. But that's what I think of you. So then the smell of that right now, somebody thinks and wrongly assumes they think that I snort crunch up medicine. They think that I snort crunch up medicine to get high. And I got the whiff of it from somewhere, and I don't ever get high on anything. And I assume that from someone out there watching this or somewhere, they thought, yeah, that's what he's doing. He's crunching up Ritalin. There's that Ritalin from when kids were like in junior high or high school. They used to crunch up Ritalin, and that's what it smelled like. And they tried it a bunch, and I don't know if I ever did, but they would crunch it up and they try to snort it to get high. Ritalin, and I got the smell of that from somewhere. So it was like somebody, the first thought they had was thinking that I think they thought that I was on drugs or something to be thinking about this. And then they thought it was funny, and then I got along with them. Oh, yeah, Ritalin, they snorted it to get high or something like that. But that was one flash image, and that's how I communicated to you back and forth with only that one flash image, and that's as human beings. Here's a skull, and here are two popped out eyes looking that direction. Well, looking that direction. I don't know what it's looking at. Here, I'll try to show it from here. It's two popped out eyes looking that way and that way. And now it's kind of messed up. But those are only one or two images, and it took me minutes to try to communicate to you as a human being who's watching this, or maybe other souls who are human beings. And there are no aliens here, because the aliens, the way they communicated with me with the images in the bush, that their wind controlled the green I don't know bush, the leaves of it, and it made about 20 of those images a second. And it was that fast that all we talked about in a few minutes for only one or in a little more, they did 20 of those back and forth with me, images, and communicated to me with them 20 of those in 1 second, within 1 second. And I did that for many minutes, or maybe an hour, and maybe an hour long. I could communicate to them, and they had a super high IQ of about 20,000. And eventually, okay, I went back to Roanoke, and then in Roanoke, the craft came back one time, and I was so afraid of it. I hated it when it came near me, because I was frightened of it. And the thing that I did was they got my IQ up to like a 200, and I had to do this really big, like, brainwashing stuff of everybody in the nation. I had to brainwash about 100 million people, at least, maybe 200 million. I don't know, and maybe only a few million. No, wouldn't have done shit. There are probably, I don't know, at least 80 million people. It was like, here's a map of the U.S. That's backwards, Pee Wee Herman. Oh, that's fun stuff that I did after that, or before it. That was actually before it. And here's a map of the U.S. It comes down like this, right? There's Florida, there's Texas, here's California, there's the U.S. I had it mapped out across this way, and with the brain matter covering up what other people would have thought my plan was, I had to say that I thought that was the South. And it went up this way. And eventually, 3 years after I did the whole thing and brainwashed them all, a solar eclipse happened in that same place. And I had to go through the experience again of seeing hell. And not hell, but Taza called it seeing hell. She saw it too, but she called it seeing hell. But it was stuff rising from the surface. It was horrifying from hell. And also the evil alien spirits from the heavens, who are only spirits, so they can't really hurt us. They're only spirits. But I was tricked into this. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, so all I did was act like Jesus. And I went out there 3 years after I'd done all this stuff and acted like Jesus. And I was like going into Jerusalem, and I went to try to go to Texas in a car, and I hadn't slept in really long. I was worried, and I had the same experience again, and I suffered like Jesus and tried to help everyone who I'd been mean about when I had done it the first time. I acted really mean, like almost going to war or something, and brainwashed them and stuff, or else I would have had to go down to hell for 400 years. And 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 so the second time it happened, I suffered like Jesus. The first time I started suffering like Jesus, and I was willing to go into Jerusalem. I started preaching the gospel, but I didn't know much about it because I didn't read the Bible too often, and I was okay on it, but I wasn't that great on it. And then it was like the end times. It was like the end times, and then something happened, and I couldn't keep living that way, and they got to me, and I had to do some big thing where I thought if I had a bunch of earthly stuff, they couldn't bring me down to that hell place for 400 years. So I thought I had to get a bunch of money, and I did all this stuff to get a bunch of money when I didn't need it, and I could have just laid in the bed and been crazy or something and weakened. And instead, I ate meat. I started having to eat meat at every meal. The only things that would strengthen me were heavy meats. Like fish was garbage. It did more weakness to me than you know, the vegetables were almost useless. I had to eat all heavy meats during the thing when I did the thing and brainwash the whole country, and or not the whole country, but most. Man, he must be one of them. And so I brainwashed people. And they, like, if I hadn't done it, it was like a necessary evil, like going to war. And if I hadn't done it, I think Russia would have turned America into a third world. I don't know if this is true or not, but I thought about it way after I did it, and I think it would have become like a third world country with a jungle warm climate with monkeys in the trees, and it would have been like almost destroyed. Like the other powers in the world, the military powers, would have killed us for reaching out to everybody in kindness and peace, like gays and minorities and everything. Like everything's okay, like even the terrorists holding hands with them all and everything. So that was the kind of beliefs that I stood up for, everyone being okay and holding hands like there's no sin on earth. And those are the ideas that I really liked. And then they got pissed at, or somebody, or God got pissed at it. Well, the devil ruined it. The devil ruined it. Instead of everyone being okay and holding hands in peace, there's too much sin on the earth, and they would have just killed America like they did to Jesus, or not America, but the people in America. And so we had to be a strong military power. So all 300 million people, or however many of them, wouldn't get killed, or 200 million wouldn't get killed. And so then 3 years after, they still didn't really know what was going to happen. They thought maybe like people were going to be put in camps or burned bodies like they did to the Jews or something in the nation. And it happened again where I was deprived of sleep. And this time I stayed Jesus-like, and I went like I was going into Jerusalem. As Jesus out into the country. I drove as far as I was able to, trying to get to Texas, and I found myself in some strange town, like 800 miles away, and I didn't know how to get enough sleep because I wasn't on my medicine that I was supposed to take, and I had to stand up for minorities in as Jesus-like a way to try to be famous, because that was something I was working at, as being famous. I had to be like Jesus and get the word out to as many people to be kind to minorities and black people. And by some miracle, I faced my worst fears. It could have been really bad down in hell. 400 years down in hell was the worst of it. It was like, I don't want to tell you what my fears were, but I had to face all of them. And Jesus saved the day by only letting me go a little far with my worst fears. That was enough to like frighten the crap out of me, and I was still willing to do more so all the minorities would be okay, and they wouldn't put them in camps and stuff for the brainwashing I'd done the first time. That kind of got the country safe. And the second time I did it, I was like Jesus, and a miracle happened. I did the best Jesus-like suffering out in the nation for all the minorities to be okay, and it was enough to make up for my sin, and I had to make up for 10 more years suffering. And then Jesus kind of saved the day. I was just some man who did some weird things on earth, tried to change everything out in California, and they took my ideas and put somebody like Obama in office. I tried to do big, huge things and be the number one most famous. I tried to be the most famous person on earth, and that's what happened. It got like really big and scary, and I'd been persecuted after that, and I kept having to be persecuted, and I shouldn't get the glory for it. I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, or they figures, man. I shot a tree. There's some guy in the neighborhood who was the one. He thought I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, but I told everybody about what happened now, and Jesus saved the day. And after I got out of the hospital, I was locked in. There was this really scary hospital that they first brought me to when I was like Jesus. I went out into the whole South, and I stood up for Mexicans and blacks in the most southern racist possible places that existed still in Mississippi and stuff. And I stood up for blacks and minorities so they wouldn't be burned in the camps, or they wouldn't be burned like the Jews, for the first time that I went out into the nation, brainwashing them all on that, so the country wouldn't have become like a third world country from being so liberal and stuff, from the ideas that I first got in California, like everyone holding hands, even the terrorists, like even the most popular kids in class were kind of like taken down a little bit, so the kid in the back of the room could actually not be looked down on, and those are the ideas I had, and they took my idea. I went out to California to try to change the world, and I'm not the only one who did this. I was like one of like, name any kind of big, huge, famous person that liked to be number one. They had to do stuff like this out there in real life around others, and how they interacted with others, and it wasn't at all like I had thought it would be, and wow, when you go really big at something, you may have to go down really far low. But look, I still have my health. The miracles that they put a black president in office. They tried to take my ideas. Like, I thought I was going to be the first president, like John Lennon, who was the youngest person to be president. I thought I'd be the youngest person who'd be president. It was part of my plan to be the youngest president there was at age 35 in 2012. And it didn't happen. And instead, I settled down, and God had a better plan for me, to get married and have kids. So they put some other random guy in there who was a Muslim, or I don't know, maybe he's just a black guy, and he's probably Christian. I don't know. They put Obama in the office, and he became president. And it's nothing like the ideas I would have thought. I had these like ideas of everyone getting along in peace and stuff. But I was like a little bit of a jerk. I was a vegan. I was in really good shape and had abs, and just thought I'd be the coolest movie star of them all. and like some of the different racial groups, I was like a little bit of a jerk too. And I thought I'd throw in black in there, like black was like everybody liked black or people or something. And I just came up with random ideas that I thought everyone would be like holding hands in peace, and everybody would be getting along. I wasn't ever really against black. And those ideas I had in California, and I made a big movie. It was a $155,000 budget as a film student, and I was a star of it. And I made other movies. Oh, and and I would talk to as many people in the movie industry as possible. I'd send out big long letters to thousands of people, and I'd try to get my ideas out there of world peace. And I thought everyone would be holding hands in peace, and no more guns, no more war, and no more terrorism. I thought the terrorists were kind. Why would they kill them for no reason? These are all ideas. I thought they. I didn't like how the world was in my small town growing up. I was like, man, I thought I'd do some cool punk rock thing or whatever it was, but I didn't say man. I didn't know, and I thought I'd go out to California and change the world, and I get to be a movie star like nobody made fun of me anymore or something. And then, what happens when people try to do that? This happens often with people who try to go out there and be really big and famous. Like somebody, look what Jim Morrison did. You know, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Jimi Hendrix. With all that stuff with the Vietnam War, stuff got really huge, and they're big political. There are big political things. I don't know if it would ever cause an earthquake. I've never tried to do that, and they're big, huge things that happen when people go really big at their cool original ideas that they're like, you know, whatever they believe in, that might be a little different from how things are. And so the first time I did that, I was just trying to be really cool, and I was a little bit of a jerk, and I'd work out every day. I'd jog. I was young. I was 25 or 26. I was 26. I was really 26 when I did it, and I just tried to get really famous and stuff. But I failed at being president by the age 35 in the year 2012, and they randomly put some other guy in there who's kind of based on the ideas I had, like of everyone holding hands, peace, even kind to the terrorists, no war, stuff like that. But they did some different thing with Obama that pretty much was not really like. It's not really like I would have done if I got to be president. And then for some reason they chose him. I don't know why they chose a black person. And but he got to be president, so it's somebody that black people can look up to and think, oh, they might get to do big things on earth, or get to be president or something one day. I don't know. They might get to be president, but who knows? There's so many other people who had original ideas, like the people who made movies that have changed the way things were in America and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be the best artist to have ever lived, and that's why I tried to go so big, because I was kept down before that. But I'm not. I'm just a regular man, and I'm a regular child of God. And I probably did small stuff. You know, I might end up poor. Look at this mess in here. This you know, I have God and Jesus now, and I know I'm not the most important one. And God does all things. You know, you can't think that you're going to be the best one to have ever lived or something. God is the best one to have ever lived. And He always will be, and He knows the way. But God may want to empower us to do really big things on earth, really good things. And some people are supposed to do really big things more than others, but it is bad. The sin is bad, but God is good. In here, God is good. And I am sinful. I'm a sinful, bad man. And then I'm good. And then I'm godly. And then the devil might go into my body and go, you fuck you. And I might do something like that as a nerd. And I wouldn't hurt anybody. But that's the thing. You don't ever want to hurt anybody. I might punch a punching bag or something. Mother fat nerd. Don't look at me. I'm a fat nerd. And then so here's the thing, is that I'm trying to think of who else changed the world. Somebody like John Lennon, they really went huge, and they got the spotlight of the stuff. And the sad thing is that I didn't really go as huge with the famous stuff, but I think it's relatively small. What I got in return, relatively small, what I've got with my films and videos. You know, may have gotten 200 million views. My kids got 1.2 billion views, or 1.4 billion, or 1.8 billion. I don't know, it made it smaller than I thought. And, you know, between the three of my children, my children probably got like however many billion views or something, and and I was a movie star of 3 feature films. There's a writer, director, producer, star of. I bought a mansion in cash that uh, needed to be, and and for some reason I had to work really hard on the place so it wouldn't just go to crap, and and it looks okay, and so I was put to work, and I was put to work at like hard labor kind of work, and also hiring some other men. I had to do that for 20 years, full time hours, which is almost like a fail, and because instead of my movies and stuff getting really big, that or if you actually look at my movies, it's really good work. I thought if I worked harder than anyone, and I was already uh, really good from but God is the original creator. God is the most original one. He's the most original creator there is. So you can't try to be like, you can't ever think that you'd be better than God, or it's the devil. It's bad. It's the devil. If you think you'd ever be better than God, it'd be better than a false God. It'd be better than a false God. And be better than a false God who would be the devil or something. Uh, eh. and But I'm not a false God. So even one mention the devil's name. I had a really good life. Uh, and young man, don't try to do shit to my eyes, or and the thing is that when you're raised as an American, when you're born and raised as American, or when you grow as an American, or when you grow up in America, uh, it is so weird how probably back in Jesus' times, well, I know back in Jesus' times things were different, but it's always been about the same balance of godliness and sin. I think it's always been about that way on the earth, but I don't know if that changes or not. And I'm interested in learning things like that. And when we know God better, we can know how to have a better life, and how to live for God, instead of trying to take all the credit for who knows what selfish kind of things. That selfish ambition causes disorder and all evil things, and also being selfish causes death. And I was the real crazy animal in my movie Crazy Animal, because I was selfish, and being selfish causes death. And the devil is the most selfish one. The devil is the most selfish one. And if you think that you put all your heart and belief and love into things like looking really good looking or perfect, it'll come crashing down on you. And that's the wrong way to, I don't know. But that's the wrong way to put all your heart, and it causes disorder and all evil things when you have a selfish ambition. That's from the Bible. It's from God, and that's from God and Jesus. And you're supposed to put God first with everything you do, or God in everything you do. Be godly, like God, but a human being. Jesus, like, and more than Jesus could do on earth, like God. So in some ways, by being godly, we can do godly things. But the only way to God is through Jesus. There's no hurting anyone when you go through Jesus. Jesus never hurt anyone on earth. He was without sin. He was about kindness to others. So that's the real way to be. And then you can look back at the ways you lived when, if you're a little misled or lost or anything like that. Maybe not lost. You're not lost. And you're not lost, or some of you are not lost, but ew, I don't know, man. What's your problem, dude? And so I don't really care about being the most rich guy ever or the coolest. I never cared. Well, I used to kind of like the idea of being really rich. It sounded like crap. It sounded okay, but it sounded good. But the way, if I was supposed to be some cool guru or something like that, the way to the way to heaven is being Jesus-like, kindness to others, and more than loving others, loving God. Loving God is the most important commandment. Jesus said it, and it really is. You're supposed to love God more than anyone. But for some people, at some times, there may be other commandments that are most important to you. Loving God the most may not always be what you're supposed to do first. But Jesus said it was the first most important commandment. And so, hey, that's not even, I don't do. That's not even, that could be the devil's bad sin that I played. When it's really godly and good, you can do miracles with music that have never been played before on earth. With God, with Jesus, and really godly and really good, more than almost any human being on earth can do. And I might be able to do that more than any other human on earth. My name is John Birmingham, and I may have those abilities at music, Tom. What do you do that's so better than everyone? Maybe something, that guy down there. And he might do something that's a miracle way better than any other human on earth. And, if I have a pick, I can play it better. But anyway, great. Got all this body fat on me. Great. I can actually look really good again. Well, I'm actually feeling good and playing music, but it was a little too selfish. So this is how it came out, flawed and not really that great. But with self-control and godliness, you can look way better and feel better and be almost without sin on earth. And you can be without sin on earth, but because of the sin, we may have to suffer because of like the lust I did or something. People may be angry, or because I don't know, because of my own fault. I don't know why, but I'd like to find a pick, but instead, how's that for Al Bob of you? And then of me. That was of me, the alcohol. And but some people think they're better at things, but I don't know why. I might get to be the president of the United States. God told me I was supposed to be earlier this year. So my personal ambitions were to play music and be a rock star kind of thing. But I had to live for God instead. So I gave up. So I can't get it perfect every time because my real personal ambitions were to live for God and do everything God wanted me to do. Wonder what Danica wants me to do. She wants her thing to be the best and think about sex or something. I don't know. So I'm married, so I couldn't get it right every time. So she already thinks that I didn't get it right. know somebody was annoying me. That's okay. That was the devil. Went into my body. Praise the Lord. Heal me from the devil, Jesus. Heal me from the devil. Get the devil out of my body. In Jesus' name, amen. Crazy. The devil's in the Bible. God told us and mentioned his name in the Bible, so the mention of him is not too sinful when used as to tell you what's wrong and what is evil. It's selfishness. Wasn't that bad. There's the original false side of it. That's the real way. The devil sends down hell, dumb as shit. He'll have no power over you, and burn in hell forever. God is better than the devil. He'll let the devil burn in hell. God will let the devil burn in hell. I think he'll put him there. I think he'll punish him. God is aware of way more sin than the devil. So godliness will win. Godliness wins. God wins. God has won because he knows what'll happen on Judgment Day. The devil will win, and God's only Son will reign as King. His reign will begin That's pretty good. Hey, that was pretty cool. That was really good. That was a selfish man playing. That was a selfish man. It wasn't really godly and good, but some of it was really godly and good too. Don't ever hurt others or play it safe if you're trying to be really godly and let God take control of your body. Don't ever hurt others because you can end up in prison or something, even if God had a plan for you to kill them. So you don't want to end up in prison. So don't ever hurt anyone. That's the go-to thing. Follow the law. The regular law is a law in society. Why would somebody act like there's like